All right, I'm going to take a little extra time with this video to go through a few things. We are so close and yet so far. But here's where we're at. I think I was talking about the idea for the kitchen, and we've got the kitchen pretty much in. We still need to do all the trim work, but we started with a box frame, and we fashioned in this sort of bar looking setup here, and this is what's gonna, or what does house our sink and our plumbing and everything, and so far as we have that. So there was a lot put into doing this design. I ordered this sink with this removable top that has a pop-up faucet. And so that required some electric and some plumbing. And what I've continued to learn about this whole move, or this whole build, is that even though my intention was to keep it super simple, in retrospect, it would have been a lot easier if I kind of had a vision for the infrastructure beyond the insulation and soundproofing, and went ahead and wired and plumbed inside the walls, because after the fact has been pretty challenging. But at any rate, we figured out the electric and plumbing, built this cabinet, built some sliding doors underneath there, built a cubby right here. I got a finished face that's going to cover this whole thing and to leave the cubby open, and it will block where the sink is. And then, of course, these sliding doors we put on track. This is where I've got my 2 7-gallon fresh water buckets. One's in there, one now, right now, and I got to put the other one in there. And then there's a 7-gallon gray water to catch from the drain. So basically, in order to get all this to fit, we'll see it's a little dark out, but we mounted the pump back there, and then underneath the sink, the drain goes straight to the gray water, so it's just really gravity. And then that pump is actually pulls water through a tube, and then I'll be able to use this 7 gallons, and I'll move it to the next 7 gallons and refill every once in a while. And so the plumbing is contained in this area. The electric, however, I wired through here. It's hidden inside the bed, and then it comes out right there. It goes up and follows the rest of the wiring. I know I have to clean this wiring up here. This is some other wiring. And it comes out right here. And this is where, right now, I have mounted this fuse panel. It's 12-volt fuse panel, real simple setup. And so this is where I can bring in anything I want. So right now, this is the only thing that's connected to it is the pump. These two wires, really heavy gauge, I'll tell you about in a little bit, but this fuse panel is not taking them. We thought it would, but it's not. And then that's the power going out of the fuse box. Powering through the fuse box is my Blue Eddy that I've power station, and that's where this red and black is coming to these end nodes here. They're coming through the counter, and then, of course, underneath the Blue Eddy, underneath the counter is my Blue Eddy. And then right in front here, that is an aviation cable in the DC output that runs through an XT60 a connector out through the little nodes that plug into here. And so I talked about this earlier, how I have the 2,000 watt hour. It's actually a 2,000 watt inverter, and it also is a 2,000 watt hour battery. So I've got 2,000 watts of power, and it also can charge taking up to 1400 watts of solar directly because there's a solar controller built in and the inverter's built in. And so, at any rate, who cares about that? Those are power plugs for some different things. And then, of course, I have a secondary battery back, and they're hidden behind my mat. So 4,000 watt hours. The rest of the electric, since we're here, that you see here coming out of the wall, these two are the solar, the MC4 cables that connect to my roof solar. That is inside the wall because I had thought to do that beforehand. And the other thing in the wall is the roof vent, the max air fan, which I just wired up to a 12 volt connector like this, because this is before I thought about using a fuse panel and all this stuff. So I can cut this off and connect it to the fuse panel. But right now I've just been plugging it into the, there's a 12 volt plug-in input right there that is linked to my secondary battery that my Sprinter van came with. I actually have a battery for the van that's underneath the floorboard there, but I actually have a secondary battery underneath the seat that I can run off of. And so right now I use that for my fan. Anyway, more on that later. So anyway, it's been a labor of love getting this thing built, trying to make it sturdy, but minimize the space and fit the water and the sink, and also try and get some kind of cubby space out of it. I still have to trim it out, so I bought this quarter trim that I'm going to put around everything. And yes, if it looks like I've used floor linoleum to cover it, I did, because I kind of like that. Hopefully it won't get torn up too bad, but I can always replace it. A little splash area to cover my bed. I'll put some kind of backsplash area eventually. And then I've continue to leave this unfinished because we still have one more cabinet setup we need to put up here. So that's the kitchen. You remember that, the fridge right there. That's already hooked up and running, cold water. But the other big thing that happened is the air conditioning. So, of course, I have air conditioning for the van. It's a cargo van, so it's for up front. But now I have AC set up for my living. So I bought this mini split from Triligo. It's really designed to maybe put in the back of a semi-truck. I mentioned this on an earlier video. But I found a guy who does RV work, and he'd never put one of these in before, but he was really excited about doing something kind of cool and different. So he helped me do this, and it definitely cost a good bit of money. I think the unit itself was $800 or $900, and then it cost me about $1,100 to get it put in. Took a couple days, but there it is. I want to hide the wires a little bit, but I love the crazy bright red. It's kind of obnoxious. But there's a lot to putting something like this together. I'm confident that we could have worked it out for the most part, but it would have been probably a frustrating experience, and I still would have had to find someone to charge up the Freon and everything. So at any rate, there it is. So now, of course, I have to do some work here to get this reinsulated and cover all these wires, and I'll build some kind of box or whatever. But he was really cool real thoughtful about, there's a drain plug for condensation that he put through here, and I'll show you where it comes out. He wired everything through casing here, and then used the existing casing I had for my lights, van lights. So that was cool, and then he just ran it up through here. But in the process of doing that, by the way, here's that little drain hose right there. So you can't really tell it's there, but anyway, kind of an interesting thing. So the challenge that I'm facing now, if you're interested, is that, and I don't know, I'm not an electrician, so I got to learn about this, is that we've got this heavy gauge wire, this 10 gauge wire that he used to bring the power from the unit all the way up to where, I'm putting the fuse panel, and I'm gonna put a whole cover here, and there's gonna be more electronics sort of built in here. And it was tripping the Blue Eddy, and I don't know. I mean, I feel like we know the AC unit's working because we hooked these. We ran a fuse here through here, and then we hooked these nodes up directly to a car battery, and the AC runs like a champ. But when we run through the fuse panel using a 30 amp fuse, it tripped. And so I don't really know why. I'm gonna put a call in to a friend of a friend who may know how to help me with that. But I'm not, like I said, an electrician, so I got to figure that out. So worst case scenario, when I get on the road, if I don't have this worked out yet, I'll have a car battery available, because I definitely need air back here. And if I don't have if I do have it worked out, then that's good too. But definitely need air back there at night, because it is not even close to reasonable back here. So that's basically it. That's the update. I'm going to keep working on the trim stuff. So I got trim coming for here, the baseboard here, trim here. This is all getting trimmed out. Trim for my bar area. I got to close this up. This is the back of the sink, but I had to make way for all this stuff sticking out. So got to solve that challenge. I still got to trim out the sides of the closet. I need to put another shelf in the closet, and like I said, more cabinet space up top. I still got to box in these windows or these lights. So there's a ton to do, but it'll get done when it gets done. All right, I appreciate you guys. Take it easy.